Hello and welcome to What Yacht To Do.
Or welcome back, because it's been a while since we put a video out, so we're going to be catching you up here. I'm Sam, a retired pilot, and this is Rev, a retired educator.
We have done America's Great Loop, this incredible boating adventure, 2 different times, and actually we started a 3rd one.
Yeah, so 2 complete circuits around America's Great Loop. Now that's a lot of miles under the keel, and each one is roughly 6,000 miles. Some do it a little bit less, some do a little bit more, depending on the route you take. Even though it's 6,000 miles, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Because there is a whole, it's overwhelming, don't get me wrong, because we totally were. But what we tried to do with our channel and with some things that we have put together, we try to make it as simple as possible. We divided the adventure into 4 different categories: the journey, the boat, of course, the crew, and living aboard.
And we have, over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been doing this, we have gotten tens of thousands of comments, emails, questions, and even sometimes phone calls about the loop. And so what we did is we boiled those all down, and like Rev says, we started putting them into bins, and it really came out as to understanding the journey. Once you understand the journey, selecting the right boat, then working together as a crew and figuring out how to live aboard a tiny space for maybe up to a year.
Nobody said anything about a bin, but we are going to walk you through those 4 areas of the Great Loop. So let's start with the journey. Now, we put on YouTube every time we move the boat. So we have it organized with playlists. You can look at our first loop and then our second loop for a grand total of 272 trips around.
But there's other videos on there too, right? There's some playlists about living aboard, about all kinds of things. But as far as the journey goes, 6,000 miles, and we did it 2 different ways. The first time we did it, we did the standard loop, and it was through Canada, through the Trent Severn Canal, and also the Keys. The second time we did the loop, we didn't go into Canada. We did all 5 Great Lakes, and we didn't go to the Keys. We went through the Okeechobee. So there's different ways to do it. And when we started the 3rd loop, and there's a 3rd loop playlist on there, even though we didn't finish it, we went through the Rideau Canal and visited some of the places that we thought were great in the Canada region and the Great Lakes. There is a blog that we put up, and it's called Reflections on 2 Loops. And I think if you read through that, you also see a table at the end that shows how many times we anchored, how many marinas we went to, mooring balls, the gallons of fuel that we used, and a whole bunch of other stats. And you'll see the difference between the first loop and the second loop, which might be interesting to you.
So you can get a big overview about what that Great Loop journey is all about, and then drill down into the individual trips that we took. So that might be helpful for you whenever you're planning. Let's move on to the boat.
Yeah. Now we are going to tell you about the boat, but one of the other things that we're going to do in this video is telling you what's beyond the Great Loop, at least for What Yacht To Do. And we're going to be traveling to other places in the world and taking a look at boats. But let's talk about the boat, because we did both our loops and the start of the 3rd loop on the same boat. It was a Carver 504, and it was a very comfortable boat, probably on the larger size for most of you who will be doing the loop. But we felt that we wanted to have some comfort on there and some safety, and we selected that boat for that particular reason. You will be able to select your boat based on your journey. We put together a online course about different types of loop boats, what's important, engines, heads, which are bathrooms on the boat, the kitchen, which is the galley on the boat, and a bunch of other information about boats on the Great Loop.
Okay, so now the crew, which is very important to me. I think, first of all, because I didn't know anything about being a first mate, and Sam didn't know anything about being a captain. However, I was okay with going with him because he already knew how to pilot big equipment.
And also, I've flown single seat and also had crew airplanes, and so knew that this was going to be a real working together ordeal that we had.
Sam was obviously going to be the captain. I was going to be the first mate. We had our roles. We always heard, though, the first mate should know how to pilot the boat or be the captain in case anything should happen. I didn't do that. I didn't want, I started out wanting to do that, but we just did not get good training.
I will tell you that you did a great job when I was away from the helm. Whether I had to go to the edge room or whatever, she knew the basics. I made sure she knew the basics.
Yes, that is true. And especially the first thing I learned how to do is do the radio. So in case anything happened, I knew how to call the Coast Guard. Anyway, it's very important for the crew to know what to do. And I love this info that we put together.
Yeah, so in that crew portion of it, kind of review here, understanding the journey, selecting the boat, and then the third part of this phase process is to work together as a crew. Now, even though we're not out there currently on a loop boat, we are out there renting other boats, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here, how we had a trip to Scotland and on a narrow boat, and also I'm out there doing training on the loop. So we're not getting rusty and we're not getting away from boating. So just shifting gears a little bit.
So the next challenge of this whole going on the Great Loop adventure is living aboard a boat 24/7 in a tight space. Some boats are tighter than others. And is your marriage going to survive, right?
Yes. Well, I will tell you that there's a lot to think about. So if you can live in pretty much a 600 to 700 square foot space and have all the things that you need, and then you're going to be getting to shore once in a while, there are stores, there are marinas, there are restaurants, you just do it. And so we have showed you on our videos, which all our videos are out there on our playlist, have all the things that we needed to do. I mean, as far as doing what? Laundry and cooking. You want to talk a little bit about cooking?
Yeah. It's important that whatever you like at home, you have on the boat. You have to pare it down a little bit. The stove is smaller, the oven is smaller, or whatever you decide to take. Don't do without the things that you love to do, though. We started out with an Instant Pot because I used an Instant Pot a lot at home. And then as time went on, I couldn't live without my air fryer. So I didn't use the Instant Pot as much. I used the air fryer more. And those leftover restaurant meals that you're going to have on the boat are so much better with the air fryer.
So really, this is the last phase that we kind of put together as you think about if you're going to do the Great Loop. In addition to, drinking water, using the heads, the bathrooms on the boat, keeping all those things in working order, and then, of course, the mechanical portion of it. How much are you going to actually take care of on the boat as far as maintenance, living aboard, all of that kind of stuff?
So we had a bit of a costume change. Anyway, the other videos that we plan to share are, those dock walks that we put some of those out. Sam visits different marinas and takes you on various strolls around to look at different boats. He's got a lot of those coming up.
And those are currently the ones that I've done are under the boat playlist on our YouTube channel.
All right.
So if you haven't seen that, you can go and take a look at that. I like to get out when I'm doing training and walk around docks and see different boats, and maybe we'll be buying another boat someday. So other places that we've been in the UK a bunch, so boating is a little different over there. There's some similarities, but there are some different brands over there. And then we rented a narrow boat in Scotland. That's why I've got this hat on here, the flat cap, and we had a great time. So we're going to be sharing those videos with you. We went into Falkirk and went eastbound to Edinburgh, and then came back to Falkirk and went westbound to Glasgow, then back to Falkirk. And it was 14 days, and it was one of the most enjoyable trips we ever had. So we kind of did a little mini loop in there, although that boat would only top out at probably about 4 miles per hour. So we'll show you all about narrowboating in Scotland from our perspective. All right, another costume change here. I put my Captain Sam hat because if this sounds overwhelming to you, even if you go through all the online courses and if you prep and everything, when you actually start out and you need some help on your boat, or if you need help buying a boat, consultation, I'm available for you. Just go to our website, greatloopacademy.com, and take a look at those things. I use a building block approach to the training. We do some virtual training first, and then when I get to your boat, we go over the boat systems, and then we get underway, and we have a training plan that we go through, and we give you a report at the end so that you will be able to take that to your insurance company, and that may help you.
I wish you would have been around with this knowledge when we got started.
Yeah, it would have been
helpful.
nice. Yeah, except I didn't have a lot of that knowledge when I got started. And we also have we're a certified educational partner with Mariner's Learning System. So if you're thinking about getting your captain's license, we help you step through that as well.
We do have some courses to help you because most of the time you're going to be home and you're going to be looking online for a boat. Well, why not get ready to go on the loop right along with that? One of the courses, I think, and it's only $20, and it is about the whole journey, the whole year-long trip. It's really good. I'm impressed with us for putting it together.
Through that with a seasonal approach to it, because even as you're going through the loop, you're thinking about what other things that you're going to have to do and what's going on in your life. So it's really an interactive course for you to be able to plan at a very high level that year or year and a half or whatever it's going to take you to do the loop.
And it makes it not so scary because it's broken down into pieces. Mm-hmm. We have a starter kit whenever you're ready to just jump on in, where we cover the journey, the boat, crew, and living aboard. We answer all the questions that we have received, and we put them into an easy to understand course along with a lot of resources and a lot of examples.
Yeah, now you can buy those courses separately, but there is a bundle for it. And if you take the entire course, the journey, the boat, the crew, and living aboard, it's 60 modules, and it's over 5 hours of training, and you can watch it as many times as you want until you get that information that you need.
So you can be comfortable with about all the decisions you're going to have to make this adventure happen for you. Now, the course that I love the most is How to Lock. It's the course that I wish I would have known because I was afraid of everything, but in particular, I was afraid of locks and locking and what is that all about. Tells you what the captain's supposed to do. The course tells you what the first mate is supposed to do. And then how many hours long is this?
It's a 5-hour course.
A 5-hour course, because the different types of locks that you will face on the loop are different. And it helps you get ready for what you're going to get yourself into. Yeah. And it is,
it's a pretty good course because also in the beginning, we take you on a trip around the entire loop and show you the different lock systems, when you're going to be going up, when you're going to be going down. And then at the end, we also show you some footage to put it all together about what the captain's responsibilities are and the first mate. And so you'll have a really good understanding of how to lock, what to do when you come up to a lock.
Yeah, learn at home and then be ready.
Yeah. So I think the final thing is that this may seem a lot of information for you, but get plugged into our newsletter if you're not on our newsletter. It comes out on the 5th and the 20th of each month.
Go to greatloopacademy.com or whatyachttodo.com. We have 2 separate websites, but signing up at either one of those websites will get you in.
Yeah, and one of the things that I do is I write a captain's corner in there and try to impart some knowledge. Some of the questions that we get, we write, it's probably about a 3-page article each month, and I think we're probably getting close to about 100 newsletters that we put out so far, or maybe more somewhere. I'm going to have to count them up, but we also have a page available where you can see the different topics. So we hope that you will join us as we move on beyond the Great Loop and help you get trained for the Great Loop, but also tune in and see what we're doing in the future.
Thanks for coming along. on What Yacht To Do.